Hello everyone. In last lecture, we already introduced the course, and this is the certificate course in income tax. Yes. Now, what we discussed in last lecture is what is tax, what is PAN, and also what is the nature of the income tax. So, what things are included in income tax? That was the Income Tax Act, income tax rules, circular notifications, legal decisions of a court, and annual finance act. So in today's lecture, we are going to discuss detail about these five things, that the Income Tax Act, how it is, the Income Tax Act was, nature of the Income Tax Act, and the income tax rules. Also, what is circulars notifications, how the legal decisions of the courts are important, and annual finance act. That also we are going to discuss in short. So now let's start with the this also we have discussed what is the nature of income tax in last lecture. Now we will start with the point why are taxes levied. So mostly as we are the payer and sufferer of the income tax, so we, in order to know why it is so important to charge the taxes, we have to understand that there are many reasons for what the taxes are charged. Yes, that it is the basic source of revenue to any government. Okay, in India also the basic source of revenue which are used by the government is the tax collections. There are many more, like profits from the public sector's organizations. Also, there are many sources of funds available with the government. They can go to the World Bank for the loan also. But the major source of revenue to the government in order to spend is the tax collections. So the government collect the taxes through direct and indirect taxes, or more specifically through income tax and through GST, right? So this is how the government collect the revenue in order to spend those revenues on many projects, like the defense projects. The provisions of education is also made out of these revenues. Healthcare facilities are also provided out of these revenues. Infrastructure facilities like the roads, dams, bridges are also assumed to be provided through the collection of the revenue, that is the collection of the taxes. Okay, so this is why most of the times the taxes are levied in India or in any country. Okay, so from our country point of view, we had a Income Tax Act 1961. So more specifically, we are concentrating only on the income tax. So that's why, again, I am repeating this. We are going to talk about only the income tax. Okay. So another tax we may consider for example purpose or for differentiation purpose. That's all. Otherwise, we are going to concentrate on only income tax. Okay. So the Income Tax Act has governed by the Income Tax Act, Income Tax levy in India is governed by the Income Tax Act 1961. This act came into force on 1st April 1962. So it is passed in 1961, but it is enforced in India from 1st April 1962. The act consists 298 sections and 14 schedules. Okay, so the act is divided between 298 sections, and the group of section again subdivided in 14 schedules. So there are many schedules, like 14 schedules in income tax. So for example, the sixth schedule is the deductions. So what are the deductions that we can get deducted from the total income in order to save our tax? That schedule telling you. So schedule 6 is very important from tax saving purpose. Okay, so this is how many schedules are there. 14 schedules are there, and every year this act go under changes. Okay, some additions, deletions brought through the Finance Act and passed by the Parliament. So that's why the act is modified one. Every time it is modified, get modified. In pursuance of the power given by the Income Tax Act, rules have been framed to facilitate proper administration of the Income Tax Act. Yes, the Income Tax Act should be applied to the country. So that's why there should be some system which is which is in reality should work. So that's why all the time some powers we have to, or the government have to provide to the income tax department. So act itself gives the powers to the CBDT or to the government to implement this system in order to collect the tax. So that for this purpose we had a CBDT, Central Board of Direct Taxes. This system is running throughout the country in order to collect the taxes. Okay, now you understand what is the Income Tax Act 1961, nature of that it contains the 298 sections and the 14 schedules, right? Now let's understand in short what are the income tax rules 1962, because this is the second important part of your income tax. The administration of direct taxes is looked after by the Central Board of Direct Taxes, that is CBDT. So whenever I say CBDT, it means Central Board of Direct Tax. It is the upper level authority. It is the system made by the government in order to implement the Income Tax Act to the India and also to collect the taxes accordingly. So the CBDT has the power to assess any person to levy taxes as per the income tax laws, rules, regulations, circulars, notifications, and also to complete the assessment procedures accordingly. Okay, so in this way the CBDT Act. Okay, so this is the administration procedures or the system which is working in upper level of income tax department. So CBDT is empowered to make the rules for carrying out the purpose of income tax. Yes, for a proper administration of the Income Tax Act, the CBDT framed the rules from time to time. So who is going to make a rule? CBDT. CBDT is going to make a rules. And who made the Income Tax Act? The Income Tax Act was sanctioned by the Parliament. Okay, the member of the Parliament are sanctioned that act. But here the rules are made by the CBDT. Okay, this is what the main difference here. CBDT frames the rules from time to time. These rules are collectively called the Income Tax Rules 1962. It is important to keep in mind that along with the Income Tax Act, these rules also should be studied and then the act is applied. Okay, so how we can apply the act? With the help of the rules. So if you think or if you come across any ambiguity during application of the Income Tax Act 1961, you have to refer to the Income Tax Rules 1962 as well. This is what the main condition is. You understand this? Then the circulars and notifications. These are also important one in order to apply the Income Tax Act, implement the Income Tax Act. Circulars are issued by the Central Board of Direct Taxes. Again, the CBDT only issues the circulars from time to time to deal with the certain specific problems or to clarify the doubts regarding the scope and meaning of the provisions. Understand this? So most of the times we come across such a situation in which the law itself does not give you the proper solutions. So that time the income tax officers from the CBDT issues the circulars and notifications in order to clarify the doubts and make the system easily applicable. Okay, so that's why the circulars and notifications are a very important one. So what is circulars and notification? In general terms, we can understand through one of the example. Let's suppose if our college principal want to tell you students something, tell to the students something, how he is going to announce these things? Through the notification, through the notices. So you're going to get all the times the notices, which is only the notification. Okay, so this is how the CBDT also going to act. It issues the circulars notifications on its website. So you can find the circulars and notifications on website. Also, you can find the Income Tax Act, Income Tax Rules on the same websites. So what is the websites of income tax? Incometaxindia.gov. Write down this. What? Incometaxindia.gov. This is what the website of the income tax. It is a central body or authority, so that's why at the central level we had only one website, that is incometaxindia.gov. Okay, I think everybody has written this. Okay, or otherwise if you want I can also type here. What is that? Income tax india dot gov. This is what the website. Before this you can add that https and the slash double slash www.incometaxindia.gov. This is what the website we have. So here you can find all those acts, rules, circulars, notifications. Okay. Also, you can file your income tax returns on this websites only. Okay. To log in is you can search or Google it, that Income Tax India login. So directly you are moved to that page. Okay. Next, these circulars are issued for the guidance of the officers and or assessors. So what you're going to do today is you're going to search these websites. Okay, or whatever you want, go there. There are many more pop-up menus. Go and find randomly what you are think important one is. So you are going to understand how the income tax is, what are the nature of income taxes. Okay, so many different things you will understand by visiting this website. So please visit to these websites after this lecture. Okay, so these circulars are issued for the guidance of the officers and the assessors. Yes, this is for the guidance of the officers. So mostly the income tax officers use these circulars and notifications, as well as the assessors. Like our we also use this circulars and notifications for our benefits. Okay, so suppose because of one or two notifications or circulars our tax is going to be saved, then obviously we are going to use that circulars and notification. Mostly the circulars and notifications are for exemption of one or two businesses from income tax, or any other deductions are available, additionals. For that purpose also the circulations and notifications are issued. But the most of the time circulars and notifications are for a temporary period, they are not for a permanent period. Okay, so up to what the circular notifications are there, it is okay. But whenever we want to whenever we want to withdraw that circulars and notification, that time also we have to issue again another circulars or notification, that this circular dated this one is withdrawn from this date. So this is what the important thing we have to understand, that circulars and notifications are issued by the CBDT for the guidance of the officers and assessors, and it is for a temporary period, but act is for a permanent period. Okay, act is going to apply for a permanent period or a long period. Okay, but most of the times or every year there is a modification in act also. How we do this modification? Through the finance act. Okay, so every year we announce the finance act. This is also we are going to understand in detail in a next parts. Okay, so the department is bound by the circulars. Yes, obviously the officers are issuing the circulars, so employees have to bound by those should be bound by those circulars. Then whilst the circulars are not binding the assessee, they can take advantages of beneficial circulars. So the officer binds the employees of the income tax department through the circulars and notification, but not the assessee. Assessee can take the advantages of circulars notifications, and if he think that it is not in his favor, or it is or in other words, if he feels any um any loss because of these circulars notifications obviously, or being cheated by that CBDT to the assessee. So that time the assessee, that means a person who is assessed with the income tax department, can go to the court and ask for justice. Okay, so circulars and notifications are not binding. You are getting this. The circulars and notifications are not binding on whom? On the assessee, but it is binding on this person who bound by the department. It is binding on department employees, department officers. Okay, but it is not binding on assessors. Okay, this is what the main difference between this so circulars and notifications. Then the next thing we will discuss here, that case laws. So what is case laws? Case laws are that I given the example that if the assessee feels that he is being cheated, or it is not justifiable with him to levy such types of taxes, so that time he can move to the court of law and ask for the justice. And if whatever the results, or whatever the justice given by the court of law, whatever the result of that case is there, that is considered as a case laws. Okay, and this case laws act like a rule or circular itself. So whenever any kind of uh, judicial decisions are there, legal decisions are there by the court, those are also applicable as like a circulars and notifications. Okay, so that's why the case laws are also important from assessee's point of view, because he also can get the benefits out of it. So how the study, what is case laws, first we'll understand. The study of case laws is an important and unavoidable part of the study of income tax laws. It is not possible for a parliament to conceive and provide for all possible issues that may arise in the implementation of any act. Hence, the judiciary will hear the disputes between the assessees and the department and give decisions on various issues. Yes. So here the judge himself or herself, listens those proceedings, listens those disputes with of the assessees and income tax department, and give the decisions accordingly. So this case become the case laws for a future references. So this is what a case laws. The Supreme Court is the apex court of country, and law laid down by the Supreme Court is the law of the land. Yes. So when the case is, or the decision is given by the Supreme Court, it is applicable to whole of India. Okay, but suppose if we move to the high court, so for each and every state there are different high courts, so the decisions given by the high court is applicable to that particular state only, not to the whole of India. But the decisions related to the income tax given by the Supreme Court is applicable to the whole of India. Okay, understand this? Then the decisions given by the various high courts, this is the same thing, applicable to respective states which such high court have a jurisdiction. That is what the main difference we have between this Supreme Court decisions and high court decisions. Understand this? Okay, next thing, finance, annual finance act. This is the last part of your income tax act. Okay, so income tax act consists only not just income tax act, but it also includes the, or in order to implement the income tax act, we also have to consider rules, income tax rules 1962, notification circulars and notifications, also the case laws and the annual finance act with that income tax act 1961. Okay, so all these 5 things we have to consider when we apply any income tax act. So annual finance act is a supplementary act, you can say. It is announced every year. So every year the finance minister of government of India presents the budget to the parliament. You know all these things. Okay, up to 2024 2014, the finance act or the budget is presented on 29 February, but after Modi's government, it is introduced or it is presented in the parliament. Budget is presented in the parliament on 1st of February every year. Okay, so 1st of February is the budget presentation day in a parliament. The finance minister obviously present this budget. So Nirmala Sitharaman is the finance minister now. She is presenting the budget all the time. But whenever there is a term of any government or any party is ending, so that time the new party is going to present the budget. So in 2024 also, the new government has formed, and in July the budget is presented. Okay, this is what the main difference here. So in every year, the 1st February is the day of presentation of budget. But when the elections are there and the new government is going to form, so that time the new government is going to announce the budget as soon as it comes in power. Okay, this is what the main thing we have to understand. The part A of the budget speech contains the proposed policies of the government in the fiscal areas. Yes, the fiscal or financial areas policies are consist in a part A. Part B of the budget speech contains the detailed tax proposals. So there are many more taxes, mostly the two more important one, income tax and the GST. So income tax rates and any provisions, modified provisions are there. Those and the GST rates are announced in part B of the budget speech. In order to implement the above proposals, the finance bill is introduced in parliament. Yeah, very good. So, yes, it is introduced in parliament by the finance minister itself. Once the finance bill is approved by the parliament and gets the assent of the president, it becomes a finance act. So on budget day, only the budget is read out. Okay, there is no any comment, there is no any decisions are taken over. But after that, and also the copy of the budget is presented to each and every member of the parliament, and then after, when another session is going to be there, okay, so that time they will take the vote. It should be a majority vote. So all the members are going to vote for the acceptance of the budget or against the budget. Okay, so that time, whenever the voting is done and it is in a majority, so that time the budget is accepted. This is how the budget is sanctioned in a parliament. This is known as the finance bill. When the budget gets sanctioned in the parliament by the member of the parliament, it becomes the finance bill. So every year finance bill is sanctioned in a parliament with the voting. Okay, and that is the supplementary law to the Income Tax Act 1961. What is there in the finance bill? The finance bill we can see here in the next part. I will explain you what is the Income Tax Act and Finance Act 2024 in short. So it has two parts. Part A is the rates of tax. Part 2 is the TDS. TDS, that is tax deducted at source. I will explain you in detail afterwards when you are familiar with the income tax laws and income tax rules and all those things. So that time you will understand this very easily. But for what we can say, for introduction purpose, I will tell you a few things of this, that the Income Tax Act is divided into 23 chapters. Yes, Finance Act is divided in 6 chapters. Section 4 of the Income Tax Act is a charging section. What is charging section? That how much tax to be levied on each and every types of income. That is what a charging section. So the charge so because of charging section only, the Finance Act can able to give many types of tax rates. Okay, and it is only the section which gives the power to the government to collect the taxes. So section 4 is important one, because it is giving the government to charge the taxes and collect the taxes. Like, so this link between the Income Tax Act and the Finance Act. So that's why every year the Finance Act is introduced. Are you getting this? Okay. Very So this is the charging section is the link between the Income Tax Act and Finance Act, right? Because the charging section 4 is known as a charging section. Okay, remember this, sorry. Remember this, that section 4 is charging section because it empowers the income tax department to charge the taxes and collect the taxes, right? And it is the link between the Income Tax Act and Finance Act. This is important about the section 4. Section 4 is the section of Income Tax Act 1961. Okay, the concept of previous year and assessment year. This is also we are going to understand in detail in later part. But before that, I will just introduce you, or I already introduced that. That's previous year means the last year, and assessment year means the current year, financial year, right? So who would indicate the payment of the taxes by the assessee would be delayed by a year if all were to pay taxes with the return of income. So we therefore have the concept of TDS and advance tax. So in a previous year, the TDS and advance tax is collected by the income tax department, and as per the total income and whatever the tax, TDS and advance taxes are paid by the assessee, the assessment procedure is conducted in current financial year. So the current financial year is known as assessment year, and the last financial year is known as previous year. And what is financial year? Financial year is the year from 1st April up to next year's 31st March. The 12 months period is known as financial year. So last year is previous year, last financial year is previous year, and the current ongoing financial year is assessment year always. Understand this? Okay. So the next one, Income Tax Act and the Finance Act 2024, change in new income tax regime. So it is what we are going to discuss later because there are many more. These are the income tax rates. This is also we are going to discuss, but afterwards, because there are it is not possible to understand in an initial or introductory stage. So when you are able to understand this after we understand the total income concepts, that time you easily understand why the rates are provided, how to apply these rates to the income in order to calculate the income tax. All these things we will understand at that time. So we will discuss these things at that time only. Okay, there are many changes in this Finance Act which done by the new government. Those are also we are going to understand at that time only when we are able to calculate the total income and want to calculate the tax. So thank you so much hearing this lecture patiently, and completely listen all these 2 videos and give the test also. Okay, so all the best, and see you in a next lecture. Thank you so much.